Hey everybody, and welcome to Any Strong, episode 7. I know every time I say that it's like a higher number, I'm all like, well, I've been doing this, I've stuck with it. But I had a really good friend tell me that consistency is the goal to all success. And excuse me. Of course I get to talking and then I get a little frog in my throat. But of course, that works out for a lot of things and not just Facebook Live videos. Consistency is the key to success. You keep writing, you're going to get that book done. You keep editing, you're going to get it ready for publication. You keep doing the little fine tunings and get that cover and put it out there and then do the next one, you're going to be a success. That's just as easy as can be. Okay, it sounds easier than it is. And we all know that because life does get in the way. In fact, life has definitely gotten in the way today. I have no script, so if I am totally and completely rambling, that is why I've been trying to at least write myself some little notes so that I can make sure that I hit all my points. But this has been a Monday. And you know how last Monday was like the Mondayest of all Mondays? Yeah, well, this one came really close, but not as bad. Not as bad. Still not great, but yeah. So those of y'all who heard me talk yesterday, time flies. Last week heard me go on and on about what happened at my child's school and how a boy in my daughter's class threatened her life, and I was giving the administration and the school, and which I still love. I still love them, but I was giving them my total and complete, I'm trying to think of the word, but faith that that they were doing what was best in the best interest of my daughter. And today things happened and I've lost a little bit of that faith. And so I've been kind of riled, but very riled today. I wrote a sternly worded letter. And then my husband was like, okay, I get where you're coming from, but maybe make it a firmly worded letter instead of a sternly worded letter. So I did that instead of writing my script because it's life. And life happens, and it doesn't matter if you work from home or you work away from home, if you have family, kids, dogs, cats, things happen. And so you don't always get those words written and you don't always get that script written. But the important thing is to keep going, keep being consistent. I'm not exactly in the best mood today to be talking to all you fine folks on Facebook Live. And again, if I'm not responding to comments, it's because I don't see them. And last week we had this whole thing and there were tons of comments, but they didn't show up until the very, very end. And so if I'm not responding, it's because I don't see them, or else the whole point of doing a Facebook Live was to be able to kind of interact with you guys as I was talking. And it's not working out quite as I had hoped. And I'm hoping that's just kind of a glitchy thing that Facebook will fix. I'm gonna write them a sternly worded email. How about that? Yeah, that'll change things. Did you hear that, Mark? Yeah, okay, anyway, I'm done now. I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna write my firmly worded letter and hopefully sleep. We'll see. But stuff gets in the way, but you can't let it take over. There's gonna be obstacles. You just can't let them stop you. And I think that's what my point is sometimes days stink like today, and you just gotta move forward and know that you get to play around in a pretend world here in a little bit, or you probably already have. I'm a super night owl, so I'm going to write after this, and maybe it'll become a murder mystery. Who knows? It's one of the perks of being a writer. I can react my revenge any way that I want to on paper, so no law against that. So yeah, I'm just totally in mama bear mode right now. So forgive me if I'm coming off curt, because I'm just thinking about my kid and how she's the victim, but she's just totally being punished by this whole situation, and it just irks me. So, and I know you guys understand, even though I can't see the comments. I know you guys understand, and so we're going to move on because I told you we were going to talk about writing, and we are going to talk about writing, and I have 5 very great questions here from people. And I really, really appreciate you guys sending me questions. I really do. I love talking about this stuff. And if anything is going to put me in a better mood today, it is definitely doing this with you guys. So first question is from Crystal from Georgia. She did send us a question last week, but she sent me another one. So who am I to say no? But because I like your questions. Her question is, and it's a very good one, If I self-publish a book, can a traditional publisher still pick up that book? Okay, so I kind of answered this for her with a quick unlikely, but I would like to go into more detail about it. Does it happen? Yes. Is it likely to happen? No. And this is why. It is not because you haven't written a great book. It's because they want to be in on it through all the stages, the covers, the editing. If they do pick it up, they're probably going to ask you to edit it in some way. They're not just going to take it as it is, how you've published it and put it out there. The other problem is that as an independent author, unless you're one of the very few exceptions to this, your sales numbers are not going to impress them with that book. And they're not going to see it as, okay, if we re-release this, then we're going to make it jump that much higher. They're not going to do that. So if your book doesn't thrive as an indie book, traditional publishers are not even going to, it's not even on their radar. And again, I'm not saying that to be mean. Like I've said before, in today's world, getting published is easy, getting noticed is hard. And so so that's what you have to think about. It's not that you've written a bad book, it's that it's really hard to get noticed nowadays. And it's really hard to get those sales. And so that's one of the reasons that I've started this, is to help kind of propel that so that it can be more successful for you. But here's the thing. If you want to be traditionally published and you have a book that you really think fits the traditional market, because I have absolutely nothing against traditional publishing at all, then send those queries to those agents and really try to get it traditionally published, especially since they're going to pay you. They better pay you. Don't ever pay them. They're going to pay you, and they're going to take over the cover costs and the editing costs. That way it's not out of your pocket. You'll probably still have to pay for inventory if you're going to go to book signings and stuff. That kind of varies with publishers, different publishers. But if you have a book and you feel very strongly that somebody's going to pick it up, don't just say, oh, I'll just do the indie route. No, go for it. Hustle that dream. Make it happen. Write a really great query letter to your dream agent. If they say no, then you write it to your next dream agent and you just keep going. If you have done this and you have exhausted every person that you would possibly want to represent your novel, then independently publish it. There's no expiration date on books, okay? And I know that it feels like you're losing money when they're sitting in your computer, and in a way, that's possible, but don't publish it too quickly just to have it out there. Make sure that it's done right, and if done the way that you want it to. For example, if you want it traditionally published, if you want that, penguin on the spine of your book, then go for it. Dream big. Don't just say, oh, just independent. It's easier, because it's not. It's not easier. It might be easier to hit the publish button, but it's not easier to make a living, okay? So if your dream is to be traditionally published, absolutely go for it. Market that book to every agent you can think of. If that doesn't work, then maybe independently publish it and work on the next one. There's nothing wrong with that. And if you sign one book and you don't sign another, then hello, you're a hybrid author. And that's really like that's really popular right now, is to do both. Unfortunately, you can't do both with the same book. That's very unlikely. There are rare exceptions to that rule. The Shack being one, that Christmas book that was turned into a movie. I didn't really care for it, but it is an example of a book that was independently published and just steamrolled into going viral because of word of mouth. As I've told you guys, word of mouth is the best marketing you can ever have. And then somebody picked it up, mass marketed it. Now it's a movie. He's one of those rare success stories of that has happening. So again, to clarify, because I know I'm rambling a little bit, make sure that you follow the goal that you want. If you want to be traditionally published, query those agents and keep doing it. Don't take the first no and just be like, yeah, okay, I'm done. No, keep doing it. You got to just find the right person for your story. If you go a year, you don't find the right person, consider independently publishing it and start on the next book. Always be starting on the next book. Always have books going. So, okay, Crystal, thanks. Moving on, Amy from Arkansas has asked, when starting out with your editor, do you keep your new works under wraps or share with friends? So this one's a little bit more tricky to answer because my critique group are my bestest friends. Okay, I have one more bestest friend, but these ladies, they're my safe place. And so they see my rough drafts. They see the roughest writing that I do for the most part. And so, so they are my friends, and they do my content editing. Now, that being said, do I send out new work to friends that are outside of my writing circle that are not going to critique it or beta read it or any of those things? No, I don't. And the reason why is because I really want them to sit down and enjoy the story that I'm telling. I don't want them to feel like they're working for me. And so I've got those people already in my corner, and I don't want to just bombard my friends with rough drafts when I know that it's not my best work. And we're going to talk a little bit more about this in my last question, but rough drafts are not your best work. Writing is rewriting. I didn't make that up. That's from Stephen King himself. Okay, if you're not going to take my advice, take his. Rough drafts are not ready. They're rough for a reason. I have to fatten up every one of my books. Right now, I am really writing like the bare bones in a rough draft, and then I really got to go in there and fatten it up to get to the word count that I want. And so, so I don't want to send my friends rough drafts when I know it's going to change, and I know it's not my best work, and I know that they'll enjoy the story a lot more when I've gone through all of my editing. I might send them a beta book. That's I send out hard copies to beta readers who are the first readers. If they're lucky, they'll get one of those. But most of the time, I just wait till it's published. If they're a dear friend, if it's been dedicated to them, I'll send it to them for free. Other than that, I really do expect them to pay for their books. If they were selling makeup, I would have to pay for it. If they were selling Scentsy, I would have to pay for it. And so there's very few people that I give free books to, and anybody that usually gets a free book, it's because they've helped me with the process. And I appreciate that so much because it does take a village. It takes one person to write it, and then it takes a village to finish it. It really does. And so, so no, I don't share them with my friends outside the writing circle because I know that it's probably not very good, and I like my friends to like my writing. So, and I think there's kind of a mystery to it. And let me tell you, friends outside writing circles, they don't always understand what you're doing. Sometimes they feel like it's a hobby instead of a career. It's because it's a really hard career to be successful in, and there's no instant gratification. So it can be very, very, I can see where the impulse to share it with your friends is there because there is no instant gratification. That's the same with sharing all your stuff on your blog. If you share it on a blog and you put it out there in the world, you're more likely to get somebody to say, oh, that's great, good job, yay. But I don't recommend that unless you're doing it for a specific reason. My novellas, I put on the Anna's Legacy blog. I'm trying to drive traffic to that blog so that they'll buy jewelry and help with our nonprofit. And so there's a really real reason why I'm giving that work away, because I want to benefit other people that are dealing with illnesses and give them either cash or gifts of joy and laughter that will help them make it through their day. So I really don't. I mean, if you're going to give away what we call a cookie in this industry, that's fine. Just don't give away the whole cookie holder. That's not the word I'm looking for. Oh, those things you put cookies in, a cookie jar. There you go. I still don't see any comments, but I'm sure somebody said it over there. Yeah, I told you, it's been a Monday. Now my brain is all like, I don't know. It's stuck in sternly worded emails. So anyway, you can give readers a cookie so that you can entice them in, but don't give them the whole cookie jar because you want them to buy your books. And there is nothing wrong with wanting people to buy your books, okay? Especially your friends. They should want to support you that way. And they should support you in other ways too, like giving you writing time. offering to watch your kids every once in a while. I have a good friend, Rabina, who's basically offered to raise my kids. But it's not so I can write. She just loves my kids. She loves my children. What's not to love? So anywho, okay, moving on. Okay, this one is from Caitlin in Texas. And she asks, how do you come up with story ideas? Oh goodness, story ideas are all around you, all around you. Mine usually come to me during music. I listen to a lot of music when I'm in the car. I haven't been traveling as much this year or last year that I did the year before, just because, you know, an infant, I guess he's a toddler now, but but they're all around. I get a lot of inspiration from other things that I read and watch. The news, I get inspiration from the news. And one of my favorite segments is On the Road with Steve Hartman on the CBS Evening News. It shows every Friday, and it's a feel-good story. I like ending my week with a feel-good story. And so that is one of my favorite segments. And one night he was talking about how these two maintenance men from this park, every day they went out and shoveled the sidewalk that led from the parking lot to this particular bench. And even on their days off, even on Christmas, Thanksgiving, they went, if it had snowed, they went and shoveled that walkway because they knew that this this old man was going to come and lay daisies on the bench that was dedicated to his late wife. And it was such a touching and lovely story. And they just wanted to make sure that he could get there and pay that tribute every day. And so very generous on their part of giving their time. And they knew that giving that little bit of time could make that man's day. And, you know, nobody wants to slip on ice anyway. But it was just so thoughtful. But this story got me thinking, okay, so what if one day the man comes and there's daisies left for him? What if there's a note from his late wife? You know, all sorts of story ideas just started flooding my brain. And I did end up writing a short story called Daisies and Roses inspired by that specific story. So you can definitely do that. Things on the news. Watch people. Now, I'm not saying stalk them. I have a few stalkers myself of the good variety. They send me Smarties. But watch people. I always joke that when I eat alone in the restaurant, I'm never eating alone in the restaurant. I am part of every one of those conversations. I am a horrible eavesdropper. You should know this right up front. But here's the thing. I'm not going to go gossip about you. But I might take little tidbits of all those conversations and formulate a story idea. Now, you're not going to know it's you. I'm going to be very diplomatic about it. I'm going to be very polite about it. I'm not just going to take your life story and write it down because I heard you talk on the phone to your grandma for 45 minutes about your back spurs. You know, that's not what I'm going to do. But the tidbits of personal lives are what we're writing. And so I listen. I listen everywhere I go. Sometimes that comes off as shy, but really I'm just scoping the room and I'm listening. So look at things around you. Those can cause story ideas. Music, like I said, there are tons of songs that they'll play and I get this little reel going in my head that's almost like a movie not a review, but preview. A movie preview starts going in my head and I'm like, okay, got to write that down. Let's see. You know, on a personal note, in June, my dog passed away. And I don't write middle grade, but since that, I've had this story about a girl and her dog. Not Piper, but it'll be named Piper. But we didn't go on a grand adventure, but this girl and her dog will go on a grand adventure. And so it's just everyday life. You just have to be open to it. You have to acknowledge that you're open to it and that you're not being rude, because you're not, unless you're just really writing verbatim somebody's conversation. You're really not being rude. You're just engulfed in life, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine. You can be inspired by other books that you read. Don't confuse this with plagiarism. I'm not saying that, but you can be inspired. There can be a hint of something in a book that can take an idea in a totally different direction. So I read a lot. I don't read fast, but I read a lot. I'm always listening to an audiobook in the car too. So there's always some kind of literature going through my head, whether it's my own or whether it's something I'm reading or whether it's storytelling in a different form. You can be inspired by movies, TV shows. I was inspired by an episode of Supernatural. It was about an urban legend, and now I'm, about 30,000 words into a horror book about this urban legend, and I'm taking it a total different direction than what they did, but just the thought of that legend caused a story to percolate. And so just everywhere. But my suggestion would be, and of course I don't have mine anywhere near me, but is to have a writing journal nearby. That way, always with you. And I mean, you almost always have a writing journal anyway because our phones are mini computers. But when you get one of those ideas, write it down. Don't tell yourself that you'll remember it because you won't. Okay, I don't care if you're 21 or 41 or 61, our lives are busy. That wonderful idea you've had for a story will flit right on out with the next thing that comes into your brain. So write it down. I have pulled over on the side of the road many times to write down a story idea. Don't write and drive. Don't text and drive either. Okay. So everywhere, all around you, you cannot write about life and not experience life. So, if you're blocked, we talked about writer's block last time. If you're blocked, go to the store, go out to eat, just go to the park, just sit and listen. The quieter you are, the more the stories will come. Okay. All right. So in the same aspect of this question is the next question. And I'm so glad these questions were asked at the same time, but by two totally different people, because they fit so well together. And this one is, how do you come up with the names, the character names, by Teresa in Missouri? I love this question. Hold on, I gotta grab a book. I told you I wasn't prepared. Okay, so I have a baby name book. This is one of my favorite ways to get names. And inside, I also have a printout of those are verbs. See, I print out a lot of things. I know, I'm really trying to get away from the paper. I really am. But I have a name, I have a long list of really common last names. So I'm really good at coming up with first names. I really stink at last names. So I'll come up with the first name, and then I'll just start reading that first name off with the last name. So I can come up with the last name. So that is the main way that I find names, is I use a baby name book. Okay, and I highlight the ones that I've used. That way I don't get too confused. Because I write a lot of short stories, novellas, and novels. I try not to use the same names, but there are names that I love, like Piper. I just really love that name. So it gets used more often than it should probably. But so also look around. Again, be aware of your surroundings, because as writers, again, we have to take in life. My kids' school, which again, I really do love this school. I'm just really frustrated with them right now. But they have an assembly every morning, and every Monday morning they do birthdays for the week. And so they read off all the kids' names that are going to have a birthday that week, or if they're going to have a half birthday, because those kids in the summer don't ever get sung to. So I love that they celebrate half birthdays. I have really paid attention to the names that people have named their children, and I've come up with some really great names that way. An old school phone book. Yeah, I know. Nobody has a phone book anymore. In fact, I just threw one in the recycling yesterday. Every year I ask them not to send me a phone book, and every year I get a letter saying, sorry, due to where you live, you have to have one. Okay. Anyway, it's it's the craziest thing. I'm literally telling them I'm not going to use it, and I'm going to throw it to the recycling the minute I get it, because I find everything I need online. I know I do though. If the internet is down, then I go to cellular. I mean, I know, but honestly, the white pages is a really good place to find names. There are a ton of name generators online. You just type in like character name generator, and it will tell you, it will formulate names, and then you just keep hitting like redo until you find a name that you like. This works really well if you want a unique name. Also, and the other good thing about the baby name books is it tells you what the names mean. So if you're really looking for something specific, you can find it in there. Google will also tell you that. I scroll Facebook and Twitter for unique names. I just really pay attention. One of the most unique ways that I have found a name was at a cemetery. And I like going to old cemeteries. I like looking at the headstones. I like thinking about those lives because, again, I'm writing tidbits of life. And I like writing historical fiction. So cemeteries are, they're kind of a muse for me. I'm not saying that to be morbid. I'm saying that because I know that those are the lives, those are the stories that I want to tell. And so Dovey Grant from the Quail Crossing series, now Dovey Pearson, she got her name from a tombstone. I was walking along this little cemetery. My parents have some land up by Beaver, Oklahoma. There's this little tiny cemetery not far away called Kiowa Creek, and it has the most unique headstones. And I was just meandering through, reading them, paying respects to the people that were there. I'm very respectful when I go to cemeteries, and came across this name called Dovey, and I just knew that was her name. That my main character's name was Dovey, and it is really stuck. And so that was probably the most unique way that I've ever come up with a name. But they're everywhere. People don't really do birth announcements in papers anymore, but if they do that, you can look there. Magazines, actors, actresses, pay attention to the credits when you're done watching a movie. There's a ton of cool names. I mean, I've noticed that most people are named David or Mark, though. Just saying. It's almost as common as Jennifer and Mike. So yeah, they're all around you. Again, if you want something on hand, I do recommend a hard copy of a baby name book. You don't have to get one this thick. This has like tons of names from all over the world in it. So it's so funny because I bought this book for my work and I've never once used it for either children. So anywho. Okay, last question, and I really want to answer this one. So we're going to go over time a little bit, but that's okay. My friend Diana in California, and if you could send some prayers their way, they're not quite in the fire zone, but it's not too far away. They're dealing a lot with smoke right now. So if you could send some positive thoughts and prayers towards California and those horrible fires that are going on right now, really appreciate. Send them some love. What is this NaNoWriMo? Okay, I mentioned this last time, and I think I did say a little bit about it, but I'm going to go into more detail about it now. So there's a website called NaNoWriMo.org. That's NaNoWriMo.org. Okay, and they have challenged people to write 50,000 words in a month. NaNoWriMo stands for National Novel Writing Month, and it happens in November, so it's coming up soon. And basically what it is it is a tool to help you create a habit of writing. If you can write 50,000 words in a month, which is 1,667 words a day, then you can keep doing it every month. That's their philosophy. Now, some people really feel like this is a huge, huge challenge, and some people stress out about it. Okay, I would not recommend doing it to stress out about it. The worst case scenario, you don't hit 50,000 words and you don't get a fancy little badge to put on your web page or your Facebook page or whatever. That's the worst case scenario. It's kind of like entering contests. They're not going to read off a list of the losers. Okay, so if you want to challenge yourself to write every day, then go ahead and sign up for NaNoWriMo and write every day. It doesn't have to be 1,667 words. It can be 500 words. It can be 250 words. Try to make it a little more each day so that you're helping yourself. But the goal of NaNoWriMo is to get you into the habit of writing. So what you would need to be doing now, if you're going to participate in NaNoWriMo, is to get those outlines done if you're going to outline. If you're going to write by the seat of your pants, I guess you don't have anything to worry about. But you want to get your outlines done. Any editing that you have on other books, you want to get that finished because during the month of November, especially since there's Thanksgiving ingrained in there as well, you want to be able to just sit down and write. You want to have all your other projects put to bed. I'm going to tell you right now, it is difficult. It is very difficult to reach 50,000 words in a month. And so if you do make it, then you should celebrate that. But let me tell you, do not celebrate by publishing your NaNoWriMo rough draft, because we just got done talking about how it's a rough draft. It's not meant to be published yet. It still needs to be edited. So NaNoWriMo, tool to get your butt in the seat and your hands on the keyboard. That's all that it is. If you don't make the 50,000 words, you're still that much further along in your novel. If you make it, celebrate. How do we not celebrate? We do not publish our NaNoWriMo rough drafts, okay? This is really important. Do not publish your NaNoWriMo rough drafts. Think about it. You just wrote 50,000 plus words in a month. You did it quickly. You tried not to think about it. That's going to appear on the page, okay? I'm not saying it's not a great story. I'm saying it can be a better story if you take the time to edit. Everybody needs to edit, okay? Nobody, not even Stephen King or Nora Roberts, J.K. Rowling, nobody gets it right the first time, okay? So keep that in mind. Every single author, no matter their success, is doing the same thing. They're writing a rough draft and then they're editing it. They're editing the tar out of it, okay? Almost everybody goes through at least 5 rounds of edits, I would say. Now, maybe you don't have to. You know, maybe you've got it really condensed down. Maybe you've got a really good group, but edit it, please. That's my main thing there. So if you have any other questions about NaNoWriMo, please feel free to ask me. And also, if you have any questions about anything independently, about independent publishing, my tongue is so tied today, then please either PM me here at Jennifer McMurrian or email me at jennifermcmurrian@gmail.com. Let's go to the, before I sign off, why I write. You know, we're going to see in the upcoming month of November, a lot of people who are just gnashing at the teeth trying to get 50,000 words. They just want to get it done. And I write because I love it. And whether or not I make 50,000 words next month or not, I signed up. I always sign up. Almost every year I do. Whether I make 50,000 words or not, I get to do a job that I love every single day. I have stories to tell, and so do you. So whether or not you sign up for NaNoWriMo, whether or not you meet that goal, know that you are doing great service by writing those stories, because the world needs your stories. I write because I love to. I love telling stories. It is a joy for me. There are hard days. I'm not going to say there's never a hard day. There are hard days. But I write because I love to. And so I hope that storytelling, that love of storytelling, puts itself on the page, and that you read it because you love to. Okay, so that's it for today. I didn't go over as much as I thought I would. I hope I didn't talk too terribly fast. And that's one of the reasons I've been writing a script, so I could slow down a little bit. But yeah, like I said, some days you get obstacles. The point is to keep going, even if you have to go around them or over them or up them or whatever. Just keep going. As in the wise words of Dory, just keep swimming. So anyway, friends, I'm going to call it a night. And so again, if you have any questions for me next Monday, then please, I may be in costume. I haven't decided yet. I have a fun costume sitting right over there on my desk. I'm going to try it on, and then I'm going to see if I'm going to make a total fool out of myself next week. So you will have to tune in to see if I make a total fool out of myself next week. Yeah, okay. So anyway, if you have a question, PM me here at Jennifer McMurrian or email me at jennifermcmurrian@gmail.com. See, now I'm getting responses. I'm about to click off and I'm getting responses. So I don't know why this isn't working. I'll call Mark Zuckerberg and we'll have a chit chat about it, because I'm sure he's watching every episode. Because confidence helps too. Confidence, delirium, whatever. Okay, friends. All right. I will see you next week. Until then, happy writing.